You have
That's
no
never been
idea.
a problem. Has it?
No.
I don't know if I can talk for an hour. Go. I'll just sit here and go.
Yep. I'm kind of tired this morning. So
This morning?
This afternoon, whatever day it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Where'd you get those glasses?
These? At the Barnes and Noble at the airport. I lost my other ones, and I'm like, well, I need something. And so, yeah. You like them?
They're twos?
They're blue. No, I don't know. Well, I can't see what they are.
You need glasses to see what they are.
Quit it, mister. I went to
These
the
are
eye
ones.
doctor.
Yeah.
One should be nothing. It should be 1 times 1 is 1. Yeah. So a true 1 power would be
I'm not
no
that good at math.
magnification.
No, it's plus 1.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So it's more like 2.
Oh, geez.
If 1 is 1, then 2 is 1.
All
right. So these are 2s.
Hey, everybody. This is Matt with Multiplied by 2. And we're at Texas Toast Guitars. Thanks for joining us for our Hour of Power, the Primetime Guitar Live Thursday night special. It's been kind of an odd week for me. And how about you, Christian?
It's been about a regular week. This week on a very special Texas Toast Live, Matt gets a hickey.
I do not have one of those, but yeah.
Matt's closest friend gets pregnant.
I don't think that's the case. Anyway, yeah, so none of those things have happened, but I did go to I was in Fort Collins the other day.
That's in Colorado, correct?
Yes, and I had band practice with Hawk Attack,
but not in Fort Collins
last night. Nope, not in Fort Collins. And we have a new member of Hawk Attack that will be joining us for our show at Odyssey Beer Works, the Great American Beer Works, St. Patrick's Day, which is it'll probably be at nighttime now. I
can't believe it's next Friday.
I know, right? So if any of you guys are planning to attend the St. Patrick's Day, since it's Cridman party, is it St. Patrick's Day?
St. Patrick's.
Yeah. If you want to join us for the St. Patrick's Day party at Odyssey Beer Works, the Great American Beer Works, you can see my band Hawk Attack with a new and exciting addition, and that would be super cool. So I hope that you guys join us for that if you can. So yeah, and then Monday I went to Steve's. I went to Maximum Guitar Works. It's just been kind of a nutty day, and then I was cleaning and making messes all day yesterday and today,
all at the same time.
Kind of. I would clean a little patch and then I would make it messy again. So
and I split my pants.
And that can happen.
I did.
So Chris, we have a bunch of good stuff to talk about tonight. But I want to talk about the StewMac tool of the day.
Okay.
So if you go to the description, you guys will find a link to the StewMac tool of the day. And that is this little ESP multi-spanner. Now, did you know, Chris, the reason they call this a multi-spanner, I guess in some parts of the world, they call wrenches spanners.
I've heard that.
I don't know if this is like but this is it's kind of well, you can do lots of stuff with it. What we do with it mostly is pry paint can lids. No, what we do with it mostly is those little knurled nuts that go on like a three-way
like a switch. Three-way switch.
Yeah. So it's like a pipe wrench. It only works one way. One side loosens and then you flip to the other side and it tightens.
And I get it wrong every time.
Sure. And you can do the same thing though with like smaller, like hex nuts. Thus making this the Luthier's metric toolkit for tightening and loosening.
On SAE and metric.
That's right.
And British.
That's
Wentworth.
right.
Yeah.
So this is the Luthier's metric. I'm gonna ask the good people at StewMac to change the name of this to the Luthier's metric toolkit. And I hope that you guys go follow the link below and get one of these. This is one of the lower cost tools that you can buy. and I guarantee you will use it for stuff. But how you use this on like every guitar you make, right? Provided it has a
pretty much, as long as it's got a 3-way switch, not a blade switch.
Yeah. You don't use it on a blade switch. So
nope. The nice thing about it is because how else are you going to tighten that thing up?
Pliers.
Yeah, that's a lame
way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this thing is like $12 or something. Cool. And I know what you're thinking. Well, it's just a bent piece of steel. Yeah, $12. But it's you know what? It's worth it, and you're worth it too. So yeah, I think that's a good way. You know, there's been a lot of talk about are certain guitars worth it, or if you had blah 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 and you did this. But you know what? If you're worth it, then it's worth it, and you guys are worth it. So
yep. You've had this as long as I've known you, and longer than that. So I didn't even realize that they still made them when they said ESP on them. Still,
yeah, I don't know why they still say ESP.
Yeah, I think somebody at ESP must have come up with that. I can't imagine that.
Maybe I don't.
But maybe this size and that. So
yeah,
StuMac is very good about giving credit where credit is due.
Yeah. So Grudgemeyer wants to know if you can open your beer with it, and
absolutely,
you absolutely can. So yeah,
I don't know that you could open a bottle with it. You could.
You could. You could try. Yeah. You could do lots of good stuff with it. So, anyway,
finger in there. Ow.
So follow the link in the description below. Check out the ESP multi-spanner or Luthier's metric toolkit, if you will.
Well, it fits 3/8 in a little bit.
Sure, why not? And anything else in your StuMac cart, just follow the link, and that would help us out a lot. Thank you to StuMac for sponsoring the big show. Yes.
10mm?
Sure, why not? 10mm what?
Everything.
Brand 10. Yep. The
10mm.
Donison Dixon Brand 10. You could probably it didn't have like a barrel bushing, so you wouldn't, 10mm, yeah. Did you know that I have actually seen Jeff Cooper's original Donaldson Dixon Brand 10 pistol? Yeah, super cool. Hey, let's take a quick super chat from Dave, who says, "Happy Thursday. It also really good for removing volume and tone knots."
I do use it for that too, especially if I can get under them, and then I'll put a piece of cardboard under it just so I don't scuff the finish and then pop them off that way.
Bobby Deal says, "Scratch a guitar one time and you'll wish you spent that $12."
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yep. You can also put tape on the jaws if you're worried about it. Although they're awfully machined, they're not going to scratch the guitar with this tool.
Tom L says he had 3 nice body blanks show up from StuMac, and I had 3 nice body blanks show up from StuMac, and they came in only 3 short days. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Man, they should make this a fidget spinner too. If this had a bearing in it, just sit there and
fidget spinner and Luthier's metric tool set.
Did it come with the hole?
Yeah, it came with the hole. I don't know what that's for, but
I think hanging on your workbench.
Maybe.
That's what I would do with the
hole. It magnet? Is it a magnet?
You can, yeah.
No, it's not.
Is it stainless?
Must be. Yeah, it's not magnetique.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So Chris, we wanted to talk a little bit about the some neck through stuff that we're doing. And guys, I have a question. I have some questions for you, and I hope that you can help us with our neck through design that we're working on right now. Okay, so we are working with we've got a bunch of neck through things happening right now, because we always have a bunch of things happening right now. But here is a neck through blank, and we were thinking, well, what are we going to make with this? And Chris, why don't you show them what one of the options is?
Well, so the reason that we're making this is a dude,
Sean Joint.
Yep, is coming out and making one of these.
That's right,
it's BC thicker.
It's going to
be this shape,
presumably thicker than that.
Yeah,
he's going to put a Floyd Rose on it, and we thought, well, we need to at least. I asked Sean if he had a template. He said no. So we needed a template. And what resource did you use for that?
I used Electric Herald, the website Electric Herald.
It's a guy's name.
No, it's
Electric Herald.
Yeah. It's like Acoustic Dave. an electric Herald.
Peaceful, easy day.
Peaceful, easy day.
Yeah.
And this is one, they didn't have this one for free, so we had to pay for this one.
Okay, so Sean owes us $10.99 or
$12.
$12.
No, he
okay.
doesn't. But anyway, yeah. So I
we're
downloaded.
We're gonna get our
PDF.
$12, Sean.
Oh, somehow, yes,
Yeah.
one way or the other. Not somehow. Believe me now.
Believe you me, sir.
So we downloaded the PDF and then chucked it up in the old CNC software and plunked this thing out.
Cool. So there you go. So
and I said, "How much of this design do you want, Matt?" And he's like, "Just the outline."
It's the outline. That's all I want.
Oh, really? That's it?
But you can do all sorts of stuff. Right?
Well, yeah, it's the whole guitar.
So
Every
any of you
single
guys
line.
looking for templates that maybe are hard to find, Electric Herald is a guy who might be able to help you out.
It's a guitar community. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it is?
Uh-huh.
It's like they have a forum and everything?
Yeah, I think so.
Don't waste any time on the
too much.
forum.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
But just go there and steal all the free templates that they have.
There you
And
go.
then if you feel bad about that, you can maybe buy one.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
They've got a bunch of free stuff and then
people like share and stuff like that. The neat thing about this was everything seemed pretty accurate. I checked the nut width and according to what the specs on this thing were and everything.
Cool.
So I think the shape is in this body is about the right size.
you could look just like CC DeVille.
You can. I'm gonna make a reverse. Oh, shit.
Hey man, now we have to print it.
Now I gotta fix it.
Yeah, don't make a reverse one. Yeah, that's the last thing you want to do.
So anyway.
All right, cool.
So what was your
So guys, I want to know. I don't want to make this guitar.
so
Sean is going to make it.
so we made this and then went, I don't know that we want to finish this.
I don't think there's any reason for us to turn this neck blank into this guitar. Is there? I don't think we can sell. I don't think we can move this. You know what I mean? Maybe. I mean, we'll have to do some neck shaping.
With this chunky neck, yeah, I don't think so.
Sean says you can send me the invoice. Sean, we'll just collect when you get here.
Yeah.
But so yeah, like what headstock would we use with that? Let me know what you guys think, and yeah, I think that would be super cool. So neck throughs there's a lot of neck throughs happening. Help us with this one, you guys, and let me know.
What should we make?
Yeah, what should we make this neck blank into? Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So yeah, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is I'm going to have, so for all of the people who follow me on Patreon, thank you. And we are going to be doing more Patreon exclusive videos. I know that you guys have been very patient with neck through videos. I'm going to be doing some more neck through stuff very, very soon. In fact, I might even do one tomorrow and post it this weekend. Excuse me, that will be Patreon exclusive. It looks like we have Dan wants to know the original SG. I don't know what that means, Dan. We actually have a couple of SG neck throughs going right now. So this one will not be. Yeah. Neck through. How about an eagle, says Defender Tim. I love the eagle. Chris is not so jazzed on it.
I like the Mockingbird better than the eagle.
Yeah, and we don't have to do a BC Ridge.
No, we have to do a BC
Ridge.
Okay. No, we don't have to do a BC Ridge. You're right. But it has to be something that either a Floyd or a really low profile bridge will fit on.
That's right, guys. We are going to be I've already ordered the Floyd. So
okay, so it's going to get a Floyd.
It's going to get a Floyd.
Yeah, so it has to be something fairly low slung. It can't be like an SG. Well, it could be an SG with a Floyd, but yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Which is when you're building a neck through, what is rule number 1?
You got to have the bridge. You've got to at least have, to at least know what bridge you're going to use.
Yeah.
It's even better if you have the bridge in your hand before you start routing and messing with bridge stuff. So.
Yep.
So Sean wants to know, what about scale length? Oh no, he said doesn't. He says, what about a Strat type? Yeah, we could do a super Strat with a Floyd.
Yeah. There was talk of Telly, but then the Floyd thing came up, and it was like Telly with
the girls Floyd
yeah.
Or Telly. I mean,
girls Floyd.
I do like the War Beast. I'm not familiar with that one. Tom L says, how about a video on reverse mounting the bridge Telly pickup when not using the pick guard? reverse mounting the bridge telly pickup.
The bridge telly pickup when not using the plate.
I
or
mean,
a
like
pick guard. I
okay.
don't know.
I don't know either.
Clarify.
Yes. Tom, I need more information. Hey, Doc stopped in for a little bit. He's got something going on tonight, so he can't hang out for too long. But thanks for hanging out with us, Doc. Hope to see you soon, sir. Oh, he says neck pickup. I meant, Tom. So how would you do a? Oh, he wants to go through the back of the telly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, we could do a video on that one day, maybe. Yeah.
We've done them before. We didn't do a video. Yep.
All right. So anyway, all right. We talked about neck throughs. We talked about some of the things that we apparently we have to do a BC Rich.
No, we don't.
No, we don't. Okay.
No. That's what happens is you get, this in your head.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this, but everybody goes, well, but it's got to be a.
But it's such a. We're
talking about BC Riches. It
yeah,
has to be a BC Rich.
It could have to be a BC Rich.
Yeah.
Bitch.
Yeah.
Which is spelled BICH, right? BC Rich bitch. So anyway, someone says they like my glasses, and it's Paul Needs. Thank you, Paul. Guitar Doc 71 DC, etc. With all of the lawsuits and questions about body shapes and making illegal copies of famous copywriting guitars, what does infect people who sell blueprints or templates? Well, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know, and my what I'm about to tell you guys should be not considered legal advice, but it is my understanding that if you decide you want to make something for yourself, you can make whatever you want. And as long as you don't try to sell it, you're okay. And if you do try to sell it, as long as the person who has the trademark or copyright or whatever doesn't find out about it, I don't know. I think that we can make whatever we want here because we're probably not going to sell it. So yeah.
You mean in this case or just in general?
In this case.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now it is my understanding some companies are more litigious than others. Two that pop into mind are Rickenbacker, I think, holds the title of the most going after people in their garage making stuff, I think. And I think Gibson is kind of a close second. Or maybe a distant second. I don't know. But I think if you guys want to just make something, you don't, there's nothing wrong with having a template to make it.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing, at least for like one-off things like this, it's not going to say BC Rich on the headstock.
No.
And really, you'd have to be kind of goofy to think, no matter how well it's done, that it's a BC Rich when it's done.
Yeah.
Furthermore,
if you make a guitar and someone likes the shape and there's a picture of it or they see it, it's not exactly tricky to duplicate something. We're talking about a guitar. It's not like we're reverse engineering an iPhone or something. And now that the internet is available, the cat's out of the bag as far as templates go, because there's a bunch of just stuff. You can just download it and you can make whatever you want. And if they all of a sudden, no one's going to do this, but if someone said, as of March 31st, all templates will be banned and any guitar you can't, no one's going to do that. So I think you're okay to make anything you want, especially if you don't try to pawn it off as something else, or that it's counterfeit, or that you're selling and taking food out of the mouths of the Rickenbacker employees or whatever. You know what I mean? So, what do you think, Chris?
Yes, I think that's true. I don't. One of the funny things is you come up with your own design, and for a long time nobody wants it.
Yeah, that's true.
So you're somewhat forced into making things that look an awful lot like other things, like known things. Let's say that, and So, and then all of a sudden one day you're not allowed to make that thing anymore. If you're good at it.
If you're good at it, yeah.
You're not allowed to make it anymore. So then you have to go back to the drawing board and make your own thing, or change up the thing that you're good at making just slightly so that they can't give you a hard time. Like I remember talking to Doug Cower about his Banshee model, which is a Firebird basically, and they had to tweak a bunch of stuff on it. It still looks like a Firebird, but it's got just enough tweaks on it that it's no longer considered a Firebird. It's a Banshee. And so they had to work really hard at that, because I guess they got hand slapped by Gibson, more than hand slapped. Van
Shank Guitar sent us a super chat and says, quick question. If my fretboard is 28 inches long, can I get away with a 24-inch truss rod? Probably. I would think that you can, because at some point your truss rod isn't going to do anything. Like, so down here, it's not going to do any adjust. Really, where you want to do the adjusting is right here.
Yeah. The
okay.
Middle of the truss rod bows, and you want the middle of the truss rod to be in the middle.
Yep. So you should be more than fine to do that. Paul says, you'll appreciate this one, Chris.
Okay.
Paul says, make a BC Rich with an open book headstock. Seriously, though, I like the RD. Wish I still had my Artist. It was a neat guitar, even though it was Norland era. So not the RD, but we actually did mock this one up with a open book 3 on the side headstock, and it was kind of neat and kind of not neat all at the same time.
When I think BC Rich, I think of those vintagey, very wood.
I do too.
Looking guitars with the 73 switches on them. And so that's
neck through with lots of different
So that's what I think of when I think BC Rich.
I'm not sure the Warlock had very many of those.
Probably I think they not, and that might have it may never have, and then they came out with some that looked like that.
Oh, that could be too.
Idea.
Yeah,
my BC Rich knowledge is really, really bad.
That's okay.
I still spell it RITCH.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you guys think we should do a BC Rich, what headstock should we use, and which BC Rich should we make? We've got plenty of neck meat to do it, and remember, it's getting a Floyd. So I think that. So where do you come down on the whole idea of template, legal or otherwise? I mean, like, how do you feel about that?
I think as long as you're not trying to pawn it off as a legit brand thing, if you put your name on it or the name of your company or whatever, and you're making, you're not going into business and making a ton of that stuff, I don't really have too much of an issue with it. I mean, the thing is, so it's like Gibson goes after people that make if the people that were buying the copy ones wanted, to buy a Gibson, they'd buy a Gibson. They're not being fooled into thinking that, whatever one they're buying. And they're suing the wrong people.
Probably.
I mean, we could talk about that whole China, copy thing, and they actually say Gibson on them and all that.
And they're
but I don't really have too much of an issue with. I mean, you gotta start somewhere, and you gotta make something that's guitar shaped.
There should be
only so many shapes, and there's a lot of dumb ones.
There are some really good ones and some really not so good ones.
I'm gonna tell you.
It's sort of like being in a band, right? And you guys know that tribute bands are all the rage now. I don't know where you guys live. Here in Colorado, tributes to, I don't know, Molly Hatchet or Avril Lavigne or what. It's not that, but maybe it is.
Guys actually sit around and think about, let's do a tribute to Tom Petty. Well, there's already two other.
There's already 5 of those.
Yeah, Tom Petty tributes, including one called Tom Petty's, and I made that
Tom's
up.
Petty.
Tom's Petty. The Tom Petty tribute band.
Yeah.
So they sit around and they think up. They start listing who doesn't have a tribute.
Yeah, and
then they go with that. So it's not because they love the band that they're tributing.
May very well be that they
tribute to. It's because they can. They'll be the only ones doing it.
Could be.
Yeah.
So I think that making your version of a guitar that has been already made is a fine idea. You might be able to sell some of them. However, one of the things that I like about making version or attempting to make a a version of a guitar that, like, let's say this BC Rich Warlock here, it kind of gives me some ideas about maybe what was happening back in the old days at that factory when they were doing it. And, oh, you know what? They probably did this because of this. And you learn a lot about building guitars by learning from others. Now, if you can't be a fly in the wall in 1978 at the BC Rich factory in wherever, California, the next best thing might be to look at some pictures and attempt to make your own version of that, if that's what you're into, whatever it is that you're into, you know. And it becomes pretty obvious pretty fast that there are a lot of idiosyncrasies in each guitar design and why they did stuff. You'll notice features that you're like, I wonder why they did that. And then you'll start making it and go, oh, that's why they did that. Because if you shape the heel before it doesn't. So yeah, I bet you it's a cool thing. So
yeah, we've learned a lot about guitar making by building different models of things. And yeah, guitar lore, shop lore.
Yep.
Yeah. History of guitar building.
We used to call it tribal lore of guitar building.
Yeah. Yep. And a lot of that stuff was seemingly lost. And then people started making up their own tribal lore about some of this stuff. And that's always really fun.
I like the seagull, actually.
The seagull.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right.
I'm surprised nobody said Dean Cadillac yet.
Well, I don't know that they didn't. We were kind of talking, and yeah.
That should be the obvious choice. And then
Dean
it should just
Cadillac.
be, Dean Cadillac. Dean
Yeah.
Cadillac.
So anyway, yeah. All right. So let's move forward from neck through. You guys have been talking a lot about that, and I think that's cool. I'm going to go back and look at all the neck through ideas that you guys had, because I think that's a cool thing. Dave says that's the cost of tuition. Yeah. Sometimes just making something is worthwhile. Make a good one. You know what I mean? And yeah.
Well, and then you can compare it directly to the real thing and be like, oh, well, I fell short here, or I fell short there, or, oh yeah, this is actually,
I like this really, just as well,
really
or even
good.
better.
Yeah. I'm sure the guy that made the Slash Les Paul wasn't his first Les Paul.
I don't think it was.
Might have been his last. Who knows? But
somebody knows,
but I don't know. So
now, having said that, that raises an interesting thing. One day it's going to be the last guitar you make. If you're just starting out building guitars, I guarantee you the first one that you build probably won't be your last one, but one day it's going to be the last guitar you make. So do you want to have your verse in the pantheon of guitar building tribal lore be a copy, or do you want it to be your own twist on something? So Craig Peeble sent us $5 just because he's a cool person. So they are a cool person. So thank you very much. Paul 1060 says, is the Great American Guitar Contest happening? Yes, Paul, the Great American Guitar Building Contest is happening, but as is very much my style, I've decided to do it completely differently for 2023 than we did for 2022. What? So we are, there's links on our website to our pages on our website rather, that talk about what we are now calling the $400 guitar building challenge. So the difference between this year and last year, to give you the 30-second elevator pitch, is last year you could do whatever you wanted, and there was no real, I don't think there was any guidelines. This year we decided that you could do anything you wanted, and the prize was still the same. It was $100 to enter, and whoever wins all the money. And Steve from Maximum Guitar Works is donating templates again. Dylan from Dylan Talks Tone and Dylan Pickups is giving 40% off pickups and everything. But this year you have $400 to spend on wood, electronics, strings, paint. What am I missing? You have $400 to build the guitar.
Yeah, and anything that actually goes into the guitar, so that doesn't count. MDF for templates and tools.
If you want to buy a
and
$200,000
labor.
CNC machine, that does not count.
Yeah, guitar making machine.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
knock yourself out.
Go crazy.
Yep. But you do have to count the wood.
Yep.
So yeah.
All right. So
and it's going to be cool.
It is going to be cool.
Yeah.
Lots of people have already entered. Like I said, it's easy to do. You just go to the website and sign up, and I will send you a thing and send in your money, and it's going to be fun. So, okay. All right. Is there any downside to roasting, torrefying, and maple neck? Does it really give much more stability? Cragen Peeble, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I can't say whether or not it makes the wood more stable. I can't say whether or not it makes the wood sound like old wood. What I can say with every degree of certainty is that it looks really cool.
Yep.
And it's absolutely the driest piece of wood you will ever use.
And you cannot torrefy an existing neck. Don't do it.
You can,
but
it won't.
The neck. Yeah.
So what do you think about the whole
people being loud outside?
Yeah.
I think it's
roasted.
All about I think there's some benefits to using dry wood. Knowing exactly
there's definitely
where
some disadvantages to using wood that's not properly dry.
Yeah, correct. It makes it lighter, which is cool. If it stabilizes it, we don't have that much issue with that stuff anyway.
No.
But if it does, yeah, cool, okay, and it does look really cool.
It's badass.
Like there's some torrefied woods, I'm like, okay. Maybe if it makes it lighter, that's cool to use that wood, but not because it looks good. But torrefied maple, it's
pretty
cool
boss.
Looking. Yeah, it's really sharp looking, and then you don't have to worry about because it's just you just put clear on it and it's beautiful
and it's awesome.
Yeah.
Now
but
because
go ahead.
Oh, because it's so dry though, you can if especially if you use like things like flame wood or any of that stuff that's got lots of figure. If it's already fragile, it's already frangible. If you dry it out more, don't be surprised if it gets more so. So
that's
what you were going to say.
Another word for chippy.
Yeah, chippy.
Yeah. It you're going to want to go slow and sanding is your friend. Big blades of cutting tool is not your friend.
No.
Routing it is harder. You have to be more gentle. So yeah.
Brad Hutchings writes, Matt, I just wrote my next song. This is the last guitar I will ever make, not a Fender or Gibson PRS or any fake. It was my own design. It will probably break. The last and final guitar. Thank you, Brad. Brad is working on a bunch of necks and stuff now. I hope to see Brad soon. We haven't seen that guy for a while. Calm Cost says, get that beautiful beard down you, the nice one. I'm not sure if that's Tommy Kaloje, but Tommy Kaloje always tells me to drink more beer. So yeah, so Tommy, I'm sorry if I'm not drinking fast enough, but I'm not because
Matt talks too much to drink fast.
I do.
I hold up that end for both of us.
Yep.
On the beer.
Yep. Paul asks, can such woods be too dry? Can it absorb moisture back from the atmosphere? Yeah, it absolutely can absorb more moisture.
I think that's one of the reasons that you want to do something to it.
If you go through the Gibson factory, it's there's humidifiers going all the time.
Yeah.
So okay. So Chris, one of the things we also wanted to talk about tonight was why Nitro finishes, why nitrocellulose, and what does it take to do one? How long does it take to dry? So let's shift gears a little bit here.
Okay.
And we're going to talk about finishing, and I'm going to sit here and drink beer. So Tommy,
you need to lead me into this stuff because I'm like totally cheesed at Nitro finishes.
Okay. All right.
Now.
Well, so let's talk about what are some of the things do you think that, well, first of all, I don't understand why some people have to have a finish on the guitar that starts to degrade immediately, but nothing else on the guitar can ever be wrong. So, for example, I have to have stainless steel frets, and everything on my guitar has to look perfect until I start to, wear in the. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Which part? The everything has to be perfect part?
Mhm.
Okay.
That is trickier to do with vintage style plastics. And I say plastics because that's what nitrocellulose is.
The cellulose part is plastic.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, I almost don't know what to say. I'm like, so for whatever reason, we got it in our dumb little pea brains that maybe lacquer isn't the worst thing in the world, and maybe we could do some lacquer.
Mhm.
So yesterday, we got some lacquer products that we've had around for a few weeks, and I shot some sealer and went, this is the worst frickin' product I've ever used.
The vinyl
sealer.
sanding sealer is really lousy compared to what we use now.
It is, yeah. And so Matt and I are standing around, sitting around, whatever, and I'm just like irate about this stuff. And I'm like, there's no way in hell that any manufacturer in the 50s used anything like this at all. There's just no way.
Okay.
And then I,
especially with the results that we were achieving earlier this week.
Well, yeah. And I remember using that stuff and not being very in love with it even back when. Yeah. But now it was even worse. I mean, I couldn't get it to do anything.
I don't remember sanding sealer being that crappy. Now maybe the stuff that we got wasn't as bad as it was the stuff we used.
Man, I don't know. Ago. Yeah, I remember. But I think the lesson here is for the same reason that the Gibson factory and the Fender factory didn't have a line of guys sanding fretboards with a radius block. They didn't use finish like that.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't use sealers like that. And you got to seal up the wood. If you want the wood to look flat and smooth with no grain feel, you got to seal it up with something.
So let's
egg yolks ain't going to do it.
No, I don't think so.
Or egg whites.
Especially egg yolks.
And yolks. Yeah.
We're going to make a lot. We're going to raise the ire of a number of people by talking about nitrocellulose finishes without genuflecting first. But the idea of a lacquer finish, whether it be nitrocellulose or acrylic lacquer finish, there's something magical about that most people, most guitar players and guitar buyers really dig. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the feel of it, the smell when they open the case. There will be people who say it's the sonic benefits of that particular finish. I can't hear that stuff. I would be willing to bet you that most people can't hear that stuff either. Yeah. But if you are the same person who says my frets can never wear out, or my guitar has, a little fleck of stuff here, and it's a fly turd, I what are you going to do about it? Then lacquer is not right for you. I do know that.
Yeah.
Unless you like beating up your own. I don't know.
Well, you can't want lacquer and then be upset that it doesn't wear as
like iron
as hard as you would like it to wear.
I think that's fair.
And I've
right?
seen that. I've seen people bitch about that.
That lacquer wears too quickly.
That this particular lacquer wears too fast.
Oh, okay.
What's the deal with these guitars? Why is it wearing so fast? It's super fragile. Well, duh.
It is lacquer, which is inherently quite fragile.
Yeah, and you put it on a thing that moves
and starts to degrade the second you put it on. Lacquer does.
Yeah. So anyway, so then I went back and sprayed some lacquer, nitrocellulose lacquer, and the finish schedule on that stuff is forever and a day long.
Bingo. That's what I want to talk about. Let's talk about the finish.
I knew where you were going, and I was getting there, but I also wanted to vent.
Okay, good. Yeah, vent away.
So
people like it when
even on the can it says, here's the finish schedule. for this stuff. And the lacquer is 7 to 11 coats.
Okay.
2 hours in between each. 2 hours in between each. So in an 8-hour day, I could do 4 coats. Okay. And then you let it sit for 2 weeks.
Okay.
Scuff it back. And then you apply one final wash coat of lacquer.
Okay.
Nitrocellulose, 50-50 with lacquer thinner. You have to wet sand it, which is a mistake.
Wet sanding?
Yeah, wet sanding is a bad idea.
Why is that?
Because
I know, but
the wood isn't completely sealed up, and that water will get in somewhere, and it will crack that. It'll like around a hole or something like that. It will split that finish and you'll be like, oh, I'm bummed. And I can't believe it says that on the can.
Okay.
Because there's other products you can use that won't do that. But anyway, and then you're supposed to wet sand it, and then you're supposed to apply this this wash coat of lacquer over the top of that, and then you get the buff. But you got to let it dry another 2 weeks. So
you've got 4 weeks of dry time.
In that particular finish.
Given the instructions on the paint.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that why we can't use nitrocellulose or acrylic lacquer finish in one of our 5-day classes?
Yes.
Because it takes 4 weeks before you can actually start to given the manufacturer's recommendation.
Yeah. Right. And I remember in the days of lacquer, it was dry enough to touch. It was dry enough to hold. It was not dry enough to put into a case
because the case would actually
or put it on your couch and take photos of it.
Really? No. Yikes.
Not dry enough for that. If you let it sit there long enough, you got to hang it up and let it air dry. Let's
see what the peanut gallery says here. Wet sand lacquer using naphtha for the fluid. That's a better move than water.
Naphtha works. Mineral spirits works.
Yeah. What does Jackson use on their guitars? I don't know. You would need to contact Jackson. I'm assuming it's not lacquer, but I don't know.
Nope.
I have it on reasonably good authority that the sealer coat that Jackson uses is in fact Simtech 2850.
I would be willing to bet that the top coat that they use now is probably also a Simtech product.
Probably, yeah. Especially if you have a graphic finish of any kind.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that if you have a Jackson with like a Nagel print on it or something, it's not done with lacquer.
No.
That'd be the last thing you want to do.
Yeah.
In fact, it wouldn't even be on the list of stuff you'd want to do.
Yeah.
But we do have people that often ask us, hey, can I do nitrocellulose finish? Well, you can. You just can't do one in one of our 5-day workshops.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is among other things, it just won't be done. So you can like lacquer. It won't necessarily like you back. And you can use lacquer at your home shop. But if you come here for a 5-day workshop, we just can't do it. We just don't have the time.
Right.
Now we've often said that the finish that you use is less important than the amount of finish that you use. And people have actually said, not called me out on that, but be like, well, why is that? And the fact of the matter is that I'm kind of spouting tribal lore when I say that. I think that it's more of a, I tell you guys what, at the bars where my band plays, I can't tell if my bass or my guitar has a 1/4 inch of finish on it. One of my favorite guitars of all time is my Dan Armstrong Lucite guitar, which is basically all plastic. I don't worry about the tone. I like it because it looks cool.
Yep.
Maybe I'll play that on St. Patrick's Day. That might be
idea.
Fun.
I recall somebody recently talking about hearing a Rickenbacker frying pan. You're aware of what that guitar is? Made of Bakelite.
Yeah.
And how great it sounded.
Yeah.
You can't have it both ways.
No.
You can't have a guitar made out of Bakelite that sounds awesome and then be upset that your new guitar is
Yeah.
It has a finish made of plastic.
Yeah. So I would say there's a craftsman element to having not a buttload of paint on something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Like if you ever walked into a house with like tons of layers of latex paint on the molding, it's charming, but it loses its allure pretty quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that guitars.
I think there's some crispness that
Yeah.
happens
Mhm.
with less paint, and yeah. And the other thing is, yeah, you just don't want to. And really, so here's the takeaway from me spraying paint yesterday.
Okay.
I sprayed 3 coats of lacquer on that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Usually with modern paint, 3 coats is more than enough. You're done. I still have 7 more coats to go.
You get to,
yeah. I get to spray 7 more coats of lacquer. Oh
Yep.
boy, because there's hardly any solids in that stuff. It's 17% solids or something like that. It's
not
pathetic.
A lot of.
It's all carrier. It's all thinner that evaporates. So every time you spray it on, and you can watch it do it, man. You spray it on, it flows out. It's all glassy. You come back, it's all shrunk away because all the stuff evaporated and went away.
As opposed to
and
the UV cure
400 grit scratches
that we use from Simtech. That stuff is super cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does the same thing, flows out and never shrinks back.
Yep.
Because there's way more solids in it.
Guitar Doc 71 says one has to wonder if the components of lacquer availability today are even remotely close to the components of lacquer of 50s Gibson and Fender factories. I wonder what. You back in the day, the Environmental Protection Agency wasn't that big of a. How much does Gibson and Fender have to pay to use the 7% stuff like they used back in the old days? Do you think?
I don't know what the it's basically, I think they pay a fine to use it, or that's what I've read.
Yeah.
And I have no idea what it is, but it's
It is
and
my understanding though that it's nothing like
it's nothing like it.
What you and I can go to Sherwin-Williams and get now.
Yeah, which you can't even do.
No, that's
you
right.
can't even buy lacquer at Sherwin-Williams.
That's we can't. Yeah.
So and you got to wonder. I mean, there's still somebody out there. There's it's just chemicals, and so you got to make it somehow safe for these places to use it, or available for them to use it. And so it's probably a different formulation than what it used to be.
Probably.
Once again, I can't hardly imagine Fender spraying the crappy lacquer that we have today.
No, they're not using what we have, that's for sure.
Because well, you spray all these bodies one day, and then you wait 2 weeks, and you spray them some more, and then you spray them some more, and I know that automotive manufacturers didn't do that shit. They didn't run that car through the spray booth 8 times to get paint on that car, and that's where all this stuff comes from, is automotive. So
one of the things that you and I have done, I think quite effectively, Chris, is mold together that old world craftsmanship, handmade components and tools and things that are what you and I think are important. We've kept the traditional way. Things that we don't think are that important, we have looked for modern, not equivalent, but things that are better than what they had. So, like for example, we don't use and emphasis on ease of manufacture and manufacturability. So we do not use a lot of stainless steel fret. What we use instead is cryogenically treated fret wire. We do not use lacquer, whether it be nitrocellulose or acrylic. We use modern paints, but we've developed what we call the 73 finish, which I think very effectively makes the guitar look aged without looking beat up. And will wear with will wear in like a lacquer will, but not so fast that as soon as you start playing it, it starts to degrade.
It doesn't come apart on its own.
Yeah.
You have to ding it.
Yeah. So anywhere, so that's something that you and I have. it might seem like a contradiction because we're like, well, we use pin routers for everything and we use copy carvers for everything. And we use deadhead sanders for all the stuff that we can, but we don't use modern paint. We don't use, and we don't use lacquer. We do use modern paint. That's right. We don't use traditional paint.
Yeah.
We use fret wire that's not quite traditional and not quite stainless, but it is a very modern fret wire.
Yeah. And we do use vintage paint. We just use the 70s vintage paint, not the 50s vintage paint. Yeah, we're only 50 years back.
So that's true. I probably confused some people when I said that, but yeah, we use very traditional construction and manufacturing methods until we don't. We use very traditional components until we don't. So like one of my favorite Stratocaster bridges is that Callahan stuff. Until it's time for the saddles, then I like those Highwood saddles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I wonder, all these old guitars and then what people are chasing. And I've seen a lot of old guitars and a lot of, original guitars, but I haven't seen so many that I can say within reason. I think a lot of those finishes weren't all that good.
No, I don't think so.
And they've aged and they look really cool now. But when that guitar was new, it probably wasn't as awesome as you recall. Probably not as awesome as stuff is today.
Yeah.
Now I could be wrong, but there's a reason that you switch the woods that you make stuff out of.
If we could go back in time to 1950 something and talk to some guy in charge of some factory making some guitar, I would put our 73 finish up against anything they had back in the 50s. And I think it would look good and it would continue to look good. It would wear. And I think it would become part of the guitar players. It would become an extension of them. That's kind of what we do as guitar builders, you and I. We try to make pieces that are extensions of the people that use them. And just like the vintage guitars from back in the old days, those kind of got worn in and became part of insert name of famous guy or just dude who has this neat guitar. But if you try to rush that and you try to make that something that goes too fast, I think, and that's what I think is happening with lacquer these days.
Yeah.
People trying to rush that wear pattern and get something quickly and cheat that. And that's the 73 finish. It won't let you cheat. You got to earn that. So anyway, let's take a super chat from Craig. Kragon. Kragon. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Do they make you guys put Prop 65 stickers on the guitars, or is that only for manufacturers with over 10 employees? I don't know.
We don't have to put stickers on anything.
What's Prop 65?
I don't know.
I don't know what that is.
I think that's your answer.
So no one is making me do that now. They make me pay taxes, and it's an unbelievable amount of money that I have to pay every year, and I'm not looking forward to paying that coming up next month.
Yep.
Paul Needs asks, could Gibson do a 73 finish? Not in their wildest dream. I'm sure that Gibson could come up with something that is very similar to that. But yeah. It must be a California thing, like a cancer causing something or another. 65. We don't live in California. So
Colorado's rushing to be California, but we're not there
yet. Trying desperately to be, more like California.
Yep.
You're way ahead out there.
Every time, the politicians get together, they say, California's doing it like this, and everybody goes, oh, all right. Yeah. What about these plastic bags? Well, California's banned them.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Let's get rid of these damn plastic bags.
How fast can we do it? A year? Okay.
Yeah.
No more plastic bags.
Yeah. I can tell you what, though. Who was it? Was it Bukowski who said, find something that you love and then do it until it kills you?
Okay.
The idea is that, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you got to eat the cake, and eventually we're all going to the same place.
We are.
So you
Florida.
might as well have a good time. We're not going to Florida.
Oh.
Well, I mean, we're not all going to Florida eventually. We might. I don't. Yeah. So anyway, and correct me if I'm wrong. It might not be Bukowski, but yeah.
Is Dylan on tonight?
I don't know.
Earlier.
That was what
maybe somebody will let us know. Let me know if Dylan is on right after us.
Yeah.
Again.
And no, we don't live in Texas. They put those stickers on the gumball machines. Holy moly. Yeah, maybe if they painted plastic bags with nitro, Todd says they break down faster. They may very well. They would check.
If they were nitro, they'd just disintegrate as you're walking through the parking lot.
Bobby Dill says words to live by. Thank you, Bobby. Hey, Bobby, I got your email the other day, and I haven't gotten back to you because I'm terrible at getting back to people on emails, but I will try to do that in the next 24 hours. Randy Crooks says that Dylan is on next. And the reason that we were asking, Randy, is because Dylan was on before. I guess the Dylan and then Ike weren't on from Flipside. They must have gotten busy today. So
yeah, something. So, okay.
Dylan says that he is on tonight with Leslie.
You only have 5 minutes.
We only have 5 minutes. Well, we're going to have to breeze through our list of sponsors. So let's go ahead and thank Ike and the gang at Flipside Music, the great American guitar store. By the way, if you're looking for an SVT, mine is there. And it's giant. It's like all stacked up. All the cabinets are all stacked.
Step stool to turn it up.
Just to turn the damn thing on.
Yeah.
It's pretty rad. I'm glad they're displaying it like that. I'd also like to thank
out of room.
Steve and his crew over at Maximum Guitar Works. If you guys are competing in the $400 guitar building challenge, you get $100 worth of free templates from Steve just by signing up. So basically, your entry fee costs nothing. I'd also like to thank Dylan McCurchie and his wife Leslie for helping us out with the $400 guitar building challenge, for helping us out with Dylan pickups, and for going on after us. We love being the Lucky Pierre spot on Thursday, Primetime Guitar. But guys, if you are interested in Dylan pickups and you want to sign up for the $400 guitar building challenge, Dylan will give you 40% off as long as you use all the pickups on the guitar. If you want to just buy pickups from Dylan, link in the description below. The neat thing about Dylan pickups is Dylan winds everything. So if it says Dylan on it, it was wound by Dylan. Not very many companies can say that. I would also like to thank Stuart McDonald for supporting the channel. We are brand new Stuart McDonald supportees, but we've been supporting Stuart McDonald for years and years, and will continue to do so. Link in the description below to the Stuart McDonald tool of the day. That is not to say we don't have other sponsors, because we do, such as Dan and Calvin from Tonewood Experts and John and Cheryl from Bitterroot Guitars. Linked in the description below to Tonewood Experts and Bitterroot Guitars. All of your guitar building needs can be met with any of the companies that we talk about and have sponsors that are our sponsors. And sometimes there's even a code. Like if you go to the Dylan thing, you get 10% off. If you use code TexasToast15 at Tonewood Experts, you get 15% off. If you use code TXTOAST at checkout from Bitterroot, you get 15% off. So there's lots and lots of good stuff there. I would also like to thank Brad at Pedal to the Metal Guitars. If you're interested in any of Brad's stuff, he's got a deal right now where link in the description below, link in the description, and you can get into, Brad's got some good deals for the $400 guitar building contest. Bill Hendricks at Spin Twist Paint Rig. Chris, maybe we should use the Spin Twist tomorrow for something.
Maybe I've been using it
for everything.
Well, yeah, I don't like to shoot sealer with it because I don't want to cover it in sealer. And a few other things, but yeah, anytime I can use it, I do use it. And I've also modified our old stand to use his new sticks.
Excellent. Dan wants to know if there's a reveal tomorrow, and Section 8 USMC 53 says, hoorah! Actually, he says, thank you guys at Texas Toast Guitars for all the free, extremely helpful. Thank you very much, my friend. That's very kind of you. I'd also like to thank Chris and Dina at Odyssey Beer Works. By the way, my band Hawk Attack will be playing at Odyssey Beer Works March 17th,
next
St.
Friday.
Patty's Day, next Friday. Thank you for joining us for that. Who did I miss? Probably somebody. I don't know.
Your Nigel
Forstner at Forstner Guitars. If you guys want to read his ebook, it's highly recommended. I would advise that you get it. It's all about kind of how to make a living in the woodworking industry. You don't have to be a guitar builder, but it doesn't hurt. We also use his hemispherical fret and automatic file, which is super, super cool. Gosh, Chris,
I think that's
everybody.
I think you got him.
I hope if I missed you, I'll get you next time. How about
Wasn't
that?
intentional.
Wasn't intentional. All right, let's take a quick super chat from Robbox, who says, Matt, can you please email me an update on my projects when you have a minute? I absolutely will, my friend. Thank you for reminding me. I'm looking at them right there, and it won't be long now. I'm actually going to work on. You know what? I'm going to work on those tomorrow. I'm going to do nothing but those tomorrow. That sounds like a good thing for me to do, and do a little cleaning.
And chicken.
What?
I made up the last.
You want to go to Dave's Hot Chicken tomorrow?
No, not really. I mean, I would. But,
I do.
Yeah.
All right, gang. So I urge you to check out Dylan and his wife Leslie over at Dylan Talks Tone. They're going to round out the however many hours of Primetime Guitar Live they're going to do. I've got some good stuff happening tonight, and we will see you guys soon. Maybe we'll see you at the Speakeasy soon. Chris. All right, guys, take care. Have a great night, everybody.